Kaiser wrote to the DOT requesting that we be allowed to use the parking lot. I did call them on Tuesday. That's when I found out Mrs. Kaiser had written a letter, and they had just gotten it on Friday. We've been discussing this since January, requesting that we can use that lot. So the gentleman that I talked to, whose name happens to be Jerry as well, was very helpful and said that the timing of the letter was such that the group that makes the decision only meets once a month, and their next meeting would be March 30th. But he was helpful and said that he would be presenting the information to the members on that committee, and as he got a sense from them if this was something that they would support, that he would let me know so we had some sense if it was going, yes or no. I think we need to continue to look for something else in case the answer is no on this. But Representative Ruggiero and Senate President Kaivowi both said that, if I have any additional communication with them, to make sure that I CC'd them on it and that they would help us in any way that they could. But I did want to sort of let it begin to go forward. It seems to be that the request has been acknowledged and that it will be passed on. He was, I think, optimistic that there was definitely space there. He had looked at it on the satellite view and saw that 10 buses could fit there, that there wouldn't be an issue of they're swinging around to get out of the lot. That wouldn't create any issues there. So we're optimistic. I do plan to write a follow-up letter explaining that this is also, we need to find parking for the state buses, and that that this helps to keep the cost down if we can provide a place for them to park, because Bruce told them that the place we're presently parking is for sale, and so we need to find another place. I haven't had any news or encouragement that there's been a place on the island identified that it works. So
you all receive?
I did talk to Bruce today, and he was going to, he didn't get back to me. I told him not to get back to me if he didn't hear anything new, but he was going to call as a follow-up to his letter to encourage them along to show his interest. So he did tell me that this afternoon. Okay. So we're kind of trying to keep the old.
Yeah, I think if we keep it on the forefront and let them know that we do have the support of our legislators, then
yeah, I mean, it's unless there's something in the background we don't know about it, it does appear to be reasonably positive.
Yeah,
it's not like
he did say that there would be a contract.
Yeah.
With the town, we'd have to, about liability and our. How well we were insured. He said usually they charge for space, but sometimes they don't charge municipalities.
Yeah, so that's, But we're working on it. I'm trying to keep the pace on it rather than losing sight.
But Jane says she goes by there every day. It's very underutilized. And I mentioned that to him, and he said, well, that's definitely a positive that, the space is being underutilized. So, I mean, that would be an ideal situation.
Ideal,
but I don't think we can give up in the meantime if that's not it.
Identifying alternatives.
But we also might want to consider, do we need a worst case scenario budget item from our reserve in case we have to build a lot somewhere.
And right now, as you're thinking of best and all the way out to worst case scenarios, you're planning for 10 buses?
That's the worst case. Yeah. But I mean, if we have to have a bus to go to this charter school, that's one more.
Right.
Unless we can work it so that one of our NK runs it's way out of the way, and since we run those buses on double runs as it is, if we can perhaps, if we're allowed to combine with maybe NK if they had a student going, we don't know, but that's another potential of a sizable cost. Gwen, can I just ask on the state program, what is adding one more bus? What's the potential cost about if we were doing it this year, what would it cost us to add one more
At the
bus
state
on?
level, it's
Yeah.
$385 a day.
And that could be to transport one child.
Day, did you say?
Yes, a day.
To transport one kid to this.
That's why I
If we couldn't work it into another run.
Route.
Those runs can be a little longer.
Do what you-
Yeah, I mean, they can be longer, but you also have to get the kid to school.
Right.
So it depends on schedules, too. And we do have some issues with some private schools who, you know, if they would give 5 or 10 minutes one way or the other, we could save a lot of money because of runs, and they just, they're not flexible. They have to be, so they. But there are, you know, some potential costs overall out there that we haven't considered in this budget, and I know that we're going to talk about the reserve and all.
And built, so, and I just hate the idea of, I mean, I recognize the buses might be, you know, buses sometimes, you know, maybe they're not the best things to look at, but I think looking at them in some location that might not be anybody's, you know, first choice is still better than paving more of the island to provide an extra place
Well,
for them to be. I really hope it doesn't come to that.
Did you all receive the email?
Yes, this parking lot with a courtyard, I think that the idea that it's somehow the playground is the problem. It's not optimal in any case.
I'm not referring to that one. I'm referring to one that Bucky Brennan's passed along from a resident
Yeah,
citing a space off of Highland Drive.
yeah.
No, I don't think I got that.
No.
When-
I forget the name
When
of
was
it.
it for, whether, near the DM site, down
Okay,
Fort
that's
Weatherly?
not
No, I
the one
thought it was
got.
And the
Beavertail,
other was
Beavertail
Getty,
Road.
Fort Getty, were the two
Okay.
sites that he cited.
Oh, I thought we were referring to,
There was another one that was kind
Yeah.
of hidden. Lou went looking for it, couldn't find it for a while.
well, what
Off
happened,
Battery Lane or somewhere?
the one I'm referring to is down by the Jamestown
oh.
Yacht Club. It's down near, and I can't think of the name of the street.
The Connecticut Airport?
No.
There.
Jamestown Airport doesn't exist.
Have a place.
Well, there's the area down by the dumplings, the boatyard down there.
Jamestown
Oh,
Boatyard.
yeah, Fort
The
Weatherly.
boatyard,
The boatyard, okay.
not Fort Weatherly, the boatyard. And I believe, now I could be way off on this one, but after reading the description, it's the nature preserve in the middle of that area.
No, because now, I'm remembering now, it is an old paved area that is sitting basically at the apex of that hill above Fort Wetherill. So if you walk all the way up Fort Wetherill, there's a wooded area, and covered in there is an overgrown paved area that I guess used to be either a parking area or it must have been a parking area. But it's not easily accessible. I mean, there are lots of trees.
Well, I was.
Blocks. But and it's also very visible.
Yeah.
I can imagine there'd be a lot of objections.
Yeah. School buses up on the headlands. I don't think it's maybe.
Yeah.
So as you drive on the island, you see the
Yeah.
Newport Bridge and some buses
And
up
some
on
buses.
the hill.
I think that was.
But if
Is
you
that
paint
the area
them
they were
green,
talking about
then maybe
then?
they would.
Fort Getty.
They'll fall down into the fortifications underneath.
Both suggestions, at least the one at Fort Getty, I know was an area Lou had looked at.
Yeah.
He had talked to someone in the town, I think maybe Bill Paiva, given that it's a rec, kind of a rec-intensive area, and there was no support for putting buses out there. You've got campers, you've got sailors, you've got a lot of summer, and spring and fall. I should just
And what
say.
happens at nighttime too, there's no security
No
whatsoever.
security, no traffic.
It's just,
But I think that the idea that we could, if we just gave up on the playground, we could somehow continue to
Well, I
fit in
was-
the courtyard. They don't
Isn't
fit
that-
there, and they're causing horrible erosion
Yes.
to
how do you say
the
politically you were
Indian
kind of
Barracks? I mean,
ticked off when you read that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I'll just say, if I was gonna be angry, I would have been angered by that
Right,
particular
it's just not an
communication.
option, and it doesn't, it's
Well, it
not
also looked
because
like
of the playground.
it was our fault,
Right,
because
well-
yeah, I'm just saying, in terms of this, I highly endorse the park and ride
yes,
pursuing
that would be great,
Yeah.
but I would like
That
us
I
to
would
try
like
to
our
continue to find
representative-
other options.
Our liaison to the town council to continue to do his due diligence.
Because the
Kinda-
ideal